Hi YouTube. Today I'll be reviewing the Skin Foundation from Bobbi Brown. Stay tuned. Using the Skin Foundation from Bobbi Brown, and this is in the shade Warm Almond 6.5. And considering I used the matte counterpart in a previous video that you guys can check out, it will be interesting to see how this applies. Because in that video, of course, I used the shade 6.75, which is Golden Almond. I believe that's what it's called. And so let's just see how these two compare. Because as I mentioned, this shade was a shade that, I've used for years for many Bobbi Brown foundations. So I wanted to see if this still works for me, because of course I've had this foundation, I replenished on this foundation, I've used it many years, so we'll see. But it's just that 6.75, it just made everything just perfect when they introduced that shade. For this application, I'm just going to take a damp sponge and blend it out. And I do want to apologize to you guys. If you looked into the description box in my past 3 videos, I did note that I had a mic problem because I had my mic not turned on properly. So the audio's kind of weird, and I had to, fight with Final Cut Pro to get some editing as far as, getting the audio to be somewhat acceptable. So it's not what I wanted to put out, but I did those videos and I refused to do them again. I am totally sorry for that. Mama turned the button on right this time, so don't worry. The texture of it is very light. It's almost watery when you're applying it. And when you're actually just taking out the product, it's just a very, very thin type of texture. So now I'm just taking a sponge and just blending this out around the perimeter as usual. And you can see that it's, calmed down in terms of the shade. It's calmed down, hasn't really oxidized exactly. I mean, it goes on very orange looking, this particular shade, but it calms down and it just looks very natural on the skin. It just melts into my skin and it's just like a perfect shade. It looks perfect. Though I still think 6.75 is a perfect match for me. This is still a perfect match too, so it's cool that I can wear 2 foundation shades and not look crazy. And as you can see, I have a good amount still left on the back of my hand, so I will put this back. But for now, I'm going to go in with the All Hours Concealer from YSL. I'm not 100% sure of the shade. I'm trying to bounce it off the light. This might be shade 6. I think this is shade 6, might be. And as I always do, I'm going to blend out one area and then I'll set it with my Lumiere powder. I'm applying this ever so delicately, and I'll quickly dust off the excess. Just because I feel like it, I'm just putting on a little Terracotta light from Guerlain. I'm just going to put this on my brows as a highlight. And also just a touch of mascara from Marc. This is actually a deluxe mini that I have. Beautiful. And to finish this off, I'm just going to use, of course, the Badescu facial spray. The Skin Foundation is your typical 1 ounce 30 ml bottle. It retails for $50. It has an SPF of 15 and it's oil free. And with that said, of course, it's a foundation that's designed for oily skin types. What makes this foundation unique? It's actually a water-based oil-free foundation. And as I mentioned during the demo, when I was applying it, it just glides on the skin. It has this watery, just very light texture. And with that type of formula, your skin essentially drinks up the product. And because it's water-based, it does help with plumping your skin. So it just gives this beautiful canvas, and it's just amazing, especially for someone who, actually is, oily prone, someone who has a combination skin skin type, with it being water-based, it also is lightweight on the skin. So it literally feels like nothing's on your face. Unlike the Longwear formula that I reviewed previously, this particular skin foundation is actually going to give you more of a light to medium coverage. So if you're someone who is oily and you don't really need a full coverage, this foundation would definitely be more for you. And also, even though I have used this foundation for years, again, I have a lot of foundations, so I haven't revisited this one recently. And so when I think about the previous video I did with the Longwear formula versus this formula, that formula definitely has more coverage. And like I said, in the Longwear formula, I used Golden Almond, which is 6.75. However, this is Warm Almond, which is 6.5. So like I noted, it's really cool that I can use both foundation shades. This foundation, though it is a lighter coverage, it does a great job at just minimizing the imperfections on my face and just really like I said, just gives a great canvas. It just looks... it looks absolutely beautiful. So this is definitely a foundation that I recommend for someone who is oily, but you don't really need a lot of coverage and you like something that feels super light on your skin. Like it feels like nothing's on your skin. So yeah, it is a bit more expensive. It is a $50 foundation, but it's totally worth it. It's a no-brainer. It's a great option for you, again, if you are an oily skin type. So definitely let me know if you have tried this particular foundation, or even let me know what your favorite Bobbi Brown foundation formula. If I were an oily skin type, I would choose this one solely because it is a light coverage foundation. That's just what I happen to like, and I like when things just glide on the skin and kind of feel like water. Honestly, both foundations feel very similar, but this one feels a lot more like water. It's very, very watery. They both are very thin in terms of how they feel when they apply on the skin. They both feel like nothing. The other formula, like it is, known as a Longwear formula, you're going to get, up to 16 hours of wear, allegedly, because, of course, I haven't worn a foundation for that long, or that particular foundation for that long. So that's not really important to me, but at the end of the day, I like a light coverage, and so this would be more up my alley. So yeah, guys, that about does it for this video. Definitely rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with a whole lot more. Bye, guys.